Okay, get ready to have your mind blown because today we're diving deep into something pretty wild.
Oh, I'm ready.
It's about how AI is changing, like literally changing how we even understand human ethics.
Yeah, it's a total head trip.
So we're looking at this chapter from an academic text. It's called The Hidden Patterns We Never Knew Existed.
Ooh, catchy title.
Right. Subtitle is A Machine's Perspective, which I think is even more intriguing
For sure.
because it's like AI is holding up this mirror and showing us these blind spots in our own morality.
Yeah, we think we know ourselves, but AI is like, nope, there's a whole lot you're missing.
Exactly. So how does AI even learn ethics in the first place? It's not like it's taking philosophy classes.
Right, it's not conscious learning like that.
So how does it work?
Well, think of machine learning like this super observant student who just studies human behavior nonstop, like on a massive scale.
Oh, yeah, I can picture that.
It analyzes mountains of data about our choices, and then it's like, aha, here are the patterns.
Patterns we might completely miss.
Total.
So it's like AI is watching us make these ethical choices,
Yeah.
and then it's learning by example.
Exactly like with self-driving cars, right?
Yeah.
Imagine a pedestrian suddenly runs into the road.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that's a tough one.
The AI doesn't feel the ethical weight of that moment like we do.
Right. It's not panicking.
Exactly. But it's been trained on tons of data about how humans react in similar situations.
Okay, so it's making decisions based on what we've done in the past.
Right. It's like, okay, based on everything I've seen, this is the outcome that aligns with what humans consider ethical.
That makes sense. But it's also kind of creepy, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's like, is it really understanding ethics or just mimicking us?
That is the question, isn't it?
Huge question.
One we'll definitely keep digging into, but here's where it gets really juicy. AI is starting to notice that we humans, we're not always as ethically consistent as we like to think we are.
Ouch, that hits close to home.
Right. So what kind of inconsistencies is AI picking up on?
Okay, so think about hiring, for example. Like, you probably think you're pretty fair and unbiased, right?
I try to be.
But AI has been looking at tons of hiring decisions. It's found these patterns of unconscious bias.
Really?
Yeah, certain backgrounds tend to get favored even when the people making those choices thought they were being totally objective.
Wow, that's a wake-up call.
Right. AI is revealing these subtle ways our actions don't match our values.
Okay, so are there other areas where this is happening?
Oh, tons of them. One big one is how we prioritize short-term gains over long-term ethical stuff.
Like what?
Think about companies talking about sustainability, but then AI looks at their actions, and it often finds that profits are actually winning out over environmental concerns.
Yeah, that's such a human thing to do, isn't it?
Totally, like we know we should care about the long-term consequences.
But then we get caught up in the moment.
Exactly, and AI helps us see that.
I'm fascinated by all this. This is like big picture stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But can AI also reveal ethical inconsistencies, like in our own everyday lives?
That's a great question, and yeah, researchers are starting to look at that. Like, imagine an app that analyzes your spending, and it points out purchases that go against your values.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Right. Like, let's say you care about animal welfare, but the app notices you bought something that was tested on animals.
Oof, busted.
It could be this gentle nudge to make more conscious choices.
That would be amazing, but also maybe a little scary.
Totally. It's like your own personal AI ethics coach.
Okay, this is kind of cool.
Right. And here's another thing. AI is showing us all these cultural differences in how we view ethics.
Oh, tell me more about that.
So, like, we know different cultures have different values.
Of course.
But AI is finding these super subtle things.
Okay, give me an example.
Imagine AI analyzing global trade agreements. It might find that what one culture sees as a fair negotiation seems totally unethical to another culture.
Wow, that is mind-blowing.
Right. It's not just about etiquette. It's about these deep ethical perspectives.
This is making me think about all the things that shape our own personal ethics.
Yeah.
You know, like our upbringing, our experiences.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Even our mood on a given day.
Is AI starting to understand those influences too?
Totally. One place we see this is in the legal system. Research shows that judges tend to give harsher sentences later in the day.
No way, seriously.
Yeah, it's probably because of fatigue.
So just because it's like 4 p.m., a sentence might be tougher.
It's crazy.
It's kind of unsettling.
It really highlights how our emotions can affect our ethical choices.
So could AI actually help us make more impartial decisions then?
That's the big question, especially in areas like law or medicine, where being objective is so important.
Yeah, where lives are at stake.
Exactly. Now, AI isn't a magic solution,
Right.
but it can definitely help us be more aware, and that's huge.
This is blowing my mind. I think we need a moment to process all this.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take a break and come back and unpack this even more. It's crazy to think how we're creating all this amazing AI, and it's turning around and showing us stuff about ourselves.
I know, right? It's like we're learning from our own creation.
Totally. We've been talking about how AI can, uncover those hidden patterns in our behavior.
Yeah, those inconsistencies.
Right. But it's not just about pointing fingers.
So can it actually help us solve ethical problems?
That's the big question. The book we're looking at says AI isn't like a moral judge, you know?
Like it's not going to tell us what's right and wrong.
Exactly. It doesn't have feelings or anything.
No guilt trips from AI.
Uh-huh. Nope. But it can help us think about ethical stuff in new ways.
How so?
It can run simulations and show us what might happen if we do this or that.
So we can see which choices lead to the best outcomes.
Yeah, whether it's fairness or sustainability or whatever we care about.
That's pretty powerful.
Imagine a city trying to figure out how to handle affordable housing, right?
Oh, man. That's a tough one.
So many factors involved.
And everyone wants different things.
Exactly. AI could simulate different policies,
And then what?
It could look at things like demographics and the economy and the environment.
And show which approach would be the most fair.
While minimizing negative consequences.
That's wild. It's like having an ethical crystal ball.
Kinda. It could revolutionize how we make decisions.
Especially big decisions that affect lots of people.
For sure. But here's another question.
Shoot.
Can AI tell us which ethical framework is the best one to use?
Can it give us the answers to those big philosophical questions?
That's where it gets tricky, remember? AI learns from the data we give it.
And that data reflects our own values.
Which are messy and sometimes contradictory.
So AI can point out the problems, but it can't tell us what the right answer is.
Exactly. We still need humans for that.
To make those tough choices.
And speaking of human choices, we got to make sure we're developing and using AI ethically.
Oh, yeah, that's huge if we're going to trust it for guidance.
We can't have it perpetuating biases or doing harm.
That's what keeps me up at night.
It's a big responsibility. Ethicists and policymakers are working on it.
We need to make sure we're using this technology for good.
Absolutely. And it's funny because it's like a loop, right?
What do you mean?
We're teaching AI about ethics, but then AI is showing us where we need to improve.
I like that it's like we're learning from each other.
Totally. Before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about AI revealing ethical inconsistencies even when we think we're doing the right thing?
Yeah, like that corporate social responsibility stuff.
Exactly. Companies launching all these initiatives to show they care.
But are they really?
That's the thing. AI can actually analyze their actions and compare them to what they're saying.
And sometimes it doesn't match up.
Right. They might talk about sustainability, but their choices show otherwise.
AI is like a hypocrisy detector.
It cuts through the BS and shows us whether we're walking the walk.
This whole conversation has really changed how I see AI.
So I hear that.
I thought it was all about us teaching AI to be ethical.
Yeah.
But it's clear AI has a lot to teach us too.
Absolutely. And that's what's so exciting. It's not about us versus them.
It's about us working together.
To create a more ethical world.
This is getting deep.
Yeah.
I think we need another quick pause to let it all sink in. Wow, this has been quite the deep dive.
Yeah, no kidding.
So much to think about with AI and ethics.
It really feels like we're on the edge of something huge.
Right. Like, where do we go from here? What do we need to keep in mind as AI gets more powerful?
I think one of the biggest things is transparency.
Transparency, okay.
If we're going to rely on AI for these ethical decisions, we got to understand how it's making those decisions.
So, like, what's going on under the hood?
Exactly what data are these systems trained on? What values are baked into the algorithms?
We can't just take it on faith?
It's like using a navigation app without knowing how it works. You might end up lost.
Uh-huh. That's a good analogy.
And transparency isn't just about the technical stuff either.
What else then?
We got to be honest about the limitations of AI.
What it can and can't do.
Exactly. It's a tool, but it can't replace human judgment.
Right. So it's not about letting machines make all our ethical decisions.
It's about using AI to help us see things more clearly.
To understand the challenges better.
And ultimately make better choices ourselves.
One thing that really stuck with me is how AI can expose those inconsistencies between what we say we value and what we actually do.
Even when we think we're doing good.
It's like AI is calling us out on our own hypocrisy.
It can be uncomfortable, but it's so important.
Makes you think twice.
It's easy to think we're ethical just because our intentions are good.
But then AI comes along and shows us those blind spots,
It challenges us to actually live up to our values.
not just talk about them.
And it's not just personal either. Remember we talked about how AI can reveal systemic biases?
In hiring and the justice system,
That's powerful information.
we can use it to make things more fair,
AI could be a real force for good in the world.
but it's on us to make sure that happens.
We got to be careful about the data we use to train these systems.
And the values we build into them.
We have to be so thoughtful
It feels like we're at a turning point
with this incredible technology.
and a huge responsibility
The choices we make now will shape the future.
for all of us.
We have to make sure AI is used to create a better world.
More just, more equitable, more sustainable.
That's the goal.
This deep dive has been incredible.
It really makes you think.
It's shown me that AI isn't just learning from us.
It's teaching us to.
It's making us more ethically aware.
And challenging us to do better.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on.
I agree.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into AI and ethics.
It's been a pleasure.
Remember, this is just the beginning. Keep exploring these ideas.
Keep questioning.
Keep learning and keep diving deep.